Hey everyone, welcome back to Wired Nerdy. Today, we're diving into a cyberpunk classic that pushed the boundaries of the 16-bit era, Shadowrun for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Released in May 1993, Shadowrun was developed by Beam Software and published by Data East. At a time when platformers and action titles dominated the Super Nintendo, this game emerged as a breath of fresh air. It blended cyberpunk aesthetics with role playing game mechanics to offer a unique experience that stood out from its contemporaries. Beam Software, an Australian developer known for titles like The Way of the Exploding Fist, took on the ambitious task of adapting the intricate world of the Shadowrun tabletop RPG for the Super Nintendo. The challenge was significant. Condense a complex universe filled with magic, cybernetics, and corporate espionage into a cartridge based game accessible to console players. They opted for an action RPG approach, integrating real time combat with exploration and dialogue driven storytelling. The team placed a strong emphasis on narrative and atmosphere, aiming to capture the essence of the cyberpunk genre. In Shadowrun, you step into the shoes of Jake Armitage, a man who wakes up in a morgue with amnesia after surviving an assassination attempt. Set in a gritty, futuristic Seattle, the game follows Jake's quest to uncover his identity and the reasons behind the attempt on his life. The game combines exploration, combat, and character interaction. Its isometric perspective allows for detailed environments filled with shadows and neon lights that epitomize the cyberpunk vibe. Combat occurs in real time, requiring you to think on your feet. One of the game's most innovative features is the Matrix system, which lets you hack into cyberspace networks. This mechanic adds a layer of depth, requiring strategic planning to navigate digital defenses and acquire valuable information or resources. Upon its release, Shadowrun received generally positive reviews from critics. Many praised its ambitious storytelling, atmospheric visuals, and the successful integration of cyberpunk and fantasy elements. The game's depth and mature themes were highlighted as standout qualities, especially in an era when such complexity was rare on consoles. However, some reviewers pointed out drawbacks. The steep learning curve and lack of hand-holding could be daunting for players unaccustomed to RPGs. Additionally, the controls were occasionally criticized for being less responsive during combat sequences. Now let's talk about the differences between the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis versions of Shadowrun, because they are essentially two distinct games sharing the same universe. The Super Nintendo version focuses on a predefined protagonist with a strong narrative and real-time combat in an isometric view. It's celebrated for its atmospheric storytelling and innovative features within a more guided narrative framework. On the other hand, the Sega Genesis version, developed by Blue Sky Software and released in 1994, offers a more traditional RPG experience. It allows for character creation, letting you choose your class of a samurai, decker, or shaman, and offers multiple story paths and side missions. The combat is also real time, but presented in a top down perspective. The Genesis version is praised for its depth and closer alignment with the tabletop mechanics, offering players more freedom and role playing options. Both versions capture the essence of the Shadowrun universe, but cater to different player preferences, whether you prioritize narrative depth or gameplay freedom. Fast forward to the modern era, and Shadowrun experienced a resurgence thanks to harebrained schemes. In 2013, they released Shadowrun Returns, bringing the franchise back to its RPG roots. Founded by Jordan Weisman, one of the original creators of the Shadowrun tabletop game, the studio aimed to deliver a faithful adaptation of the universe. Shadowrun Returns, along with its sequels, Shadowrun Dragonfall and Shadowrun Hong Kong, were funded through successful Kickstarter campaigns. These games are turn-based tactical RPGs that combine strategic combat with deep storytelling and player choice. They were lauded for their intricate narratives and the seamless blending of cyberpunk and fantasy elements, introducing the world to a new generation of players while satisfying longtime fans. Looking back, Shadowrun on the Super Nintendo is a reminder of a time when developers took bold risks to bring fresh experiences to players. Despite its challenges, the game remains a testament to innovative design and storytelling. For fans of cyberpunk, RPGs, or retro gaming in general, Shadowrun offers a rich and rewarding journey into a dystopian world that feels both nostalgic and surprisingly contemporary. Whether you experience it through the atmospheric narrative of the Super Nintendo version, the open world exploration of the Sega Genesis adaptation, or the modern reimaginings by Harebrained Schemes, Shadowrun continues to captivate players. Its unique blend of cyberpunk and fantasy, combined with compelling gameplay and storytelling, underscores the timeless allure of its dark, futuristic universe. So if you haven't played Shadowrun yet, I highly recommend giving it a try. It's a piece of gaming history that still holds up today. Thanks for joining me on this retro review. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to slap that like button and punch subscribe for more trips down memory lane. We also have a weekly long-form podcast you might enjoy. Until next time, this is the Wired Nerdy Podcast team signing off.